Sleeves here with the Senior Pickleball Report powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Okay, today we have a discussion with Amy Yarbrough out of Texas. She is a member of the Austin Ignite from the newly formed National Pickleball League. But before we get to that content, consider subscribing to this channel. Hit that like button. Give us a comment. Tell us what you think. And hey, check out our socials. All the discounts in the description. Paddles from Just Paddles, PCKL, Pickle Paddles, shoes from Fitville. And hey, subscribe to our newsletter. Get your daily dose of pickleball news. All right, let's get to that interview with Amy. But before we do, hey, check out Thrive at thrivepb.com. They're an upcoming paddle company, and they are going to change the way swing weight works in pickleball paddles. All right, let's get to that discussion with Amy. Amy Yarbrough from the Austin Ignite of the newly formed and thriving National Pickleball League. Welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report, Amy.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Obviously, we'll get to NPL and the Ignite, as your shirt says, and some of your clinics and things like that, and what you're doing, because you seem pretty busy in the pickleball world. But we always start with how you became busy and how you got introduced to this game. So start us off there.
Awesome. I probably am like a lot of other people that I have a different sports background, but due to injuries, I was limited and not able to play. So I was a basketball player, volleyball player, played some golf. I played some softball. I ran track. I was a PE teacher. So pretty much anything with a ball,
Yeah.
I like. And sports is definitely my hobby. But I had torn my second ACL when I was coaching basketball and playing a pickup game with my players, and I was 40 years old. So that's side for me. I couldn't jog anymore. I couldn't obviously play basketball anymore. So a lot of the things that I really enjoyed doing were taken away. And I just happened to see people playing pickleball at my gym when I was working out. Yeah. And then I went to our local rec center here and probably was hooked in the first 10 minutes, like everybody else.
That seems to be the narrative, isn't it?
Yes, it really does. I always tell people that a new addiction is coming. And
Right.
They say you're right.
So, I mean, it's got to be, I say this over and over again, but it's got to be somewhat surreal. You go from, you're turning 40 and your second knee injury, and there's a sport that you don't even know exists. And then, a decade later or so, you're playing and coaching on a professional level.
Yeah.
This game. So talk about that and the sort of the surrealness and the madness of how this is just accelerated like nothing I've ever seen.
It is so fun and so cool to be able to compete at something at a high level at our age, because we're all of us that are doing this, we're built that way. We're wired that way to want to compete and to want to play something at a high level rather than just recreational. And so it's like, in my opinion, huge blessing that pickleball has come around, that the NPL has come around, different tournaments. When I started playing, I wasn't 50. Actually, the first time I picked up a ball was in 2017, but then it grew, during the pandemic.
Sure.
And I was a coach before. And so this was a natural switch over, like, okay, I might as well coach this for a little bit and make enough money for me to go play in some tournaments. And so that was my whole intention at the beginning. But just, there's so many reasons why pickleball is thriving and booming. It's fun. It's easy to learn, but hard to master for those of us that want to compete at a high level. It's so social. I mean, I have so many clients that that's just what they do. That's That's their day. They're retired. They get up, they have their people that they meet, and they play pickleball 5-6 days a week, and they're happy and they're getting exercise. And it's just a great community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see that just on the social media, if you follow any of the champions and senior players, that afterwards, it's just this big group of people having a lot of fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was in Kansas City, y'all compete hard. And it's people want to win. And, when you're playing in a league and it's win by one,
Yes.
it's no joke. There's a lot of 10 games. So talk a little bit about, obviously, getting into this league. You played tournaments. What level did you start playing tournaments at?
I think the first tournament I ever played, I played at 4-0. Went to Houston, played in a 4-0 level tournament, and then just kind of went from there. 4-5, 5-0. Was fortunate to get a silver medal at nationals and 5-0 with my 35 plus partner. Yeah. So, and then, I wasn't a senior pro. So then that all of this has come about right when that about happens in my life. I'm like, yes, I can.
Exactly. Really good timing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah. So how did NPL come into your life? I mean, did you just kind of hear about it and you're like, oh, I want to try and get on a team. I'm going to try out. How did that process work for you?
Yeah. So for me personally, I first started hearing about it from Rick and Beth. I know Rick personally because we run some camps together.
Yeah.
And a great time doing our camps. And so I knew, I'm talking through it with him through the process and just how exciting it was, and totally encouraged him because, I love team events. I was a team player. I wasn't a tennis player. So I've always played team sports. And so that's totally my jam. But team sports are just so fun. And then I would run some team events based on what MLP was doing, and everybody loved it. So yeah, I think initially that's how I heard about it was through Rick, and was just couldn't be happier that they actually got it going, and it's been a huge success and everybody's having a blast.
It seems like that. I mean, I've spoken to, at least one person, if not multiple people on the ownership teams. Obviously, I've spoken to a lot of the athletes like yourself, and there has not been one person who has even slightly hesitated to just send praise and I think the word I've heard most times is just grateful for the opportunity to, one, compete at a high level, and two, being treated like a professional and, being wanted. And I witnessed that firsthand in Kansas City. Y'all have it really nice. And I would argue that out of all the tours that are out there, the Open Pro tours and this tour as well, you're treated, I'd argue, the best. You can tell that you're really wanted. And you can just tell in the attitude from the people. So talk about, getting drafted. I mean, and becoming part of this and getting drafted by, the team that's in your state.
And it happens to be in first place. Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah. And going towards the second half, leading the pack. So talk some about, about getting drafted, being on that team, and your teammates and the ownership and all of that.
Yeah, I was obviously thrilled to get drafted by the Austin team. I'm actually the only Texan on my team. And
really, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. One of our owners is from Austin, and there was a connection with one of my clients that knew of Steve Unger. And so I had just kind of met with him a couple of times they were asking me some basic questions about different areas of play and how things work. And so I was happy to just meet with him and help. And then they actually ended up, there's 5 owners. Our owners are fabulous, but they're spread out. So we've got a couple on the East Coast, and then we've got some in Iowa. So we've got a great ownership group. But yeah, when I heard my name on Austin Ignite, I was thrilled. That was cool. Yeah.
Right on. And so obviously the season is going very well for y'all. You're in first place, alone in first place, by the way. You got a game lead going into the second half. You got Wichita coming up. Yeah. So talk about why you think you've had that success thus far in the season. I mean, it's tightly packed. The competition is very thin as far as the differences go. So what have you done, you think, as a group to kind of put yourself out there in first?
I think that we have some phenomenal players that started with they did a great job drafting. So our owner group did a great job of drafting. And then I think we've all just come together and meshed really well. We've had subs that have had to come in also. So everybody's been really good about being flexible and playing with people that you might not have ever been on the court with before, but
Right.
somehow we can get together and pull out a win. We have some really wise and great coaching that's in our group too. Chris Cargis was one of my teammates. Steve Dawson is one of my teammates. So like there isn't any better, people to kind of you
have legends on your team.
Yeah, exactly. Scott Crandall, Jose DeRisi, Anna Shirley. So we have a lot of good pickleball minds that can kind of think like what's going to be the best matchup and how to make this work. It actually is more complicated than a lot of people know as far as putting our lineups together. There's a lot that goes into that with the pods that you play and the court that you have to play. And then if you play that pod in women's, you've got to play that pod in mixed. And so there's a lot that goes into that. But I think the biggest thing is we are 3-0 in Team Breakers. Team Breakers, tied at the end. And I think our team did an awesome job putting our lineups together. I kind of feel like everybody's probably going to want to copy how we do our lineups from now on because we are 3-0 in those Breakers. So those are really fun, really exciting, tons of pressure, but
sure. You come out there for a couple points and it's like,
exactly, go. Right? Like, don't screw this up, get some points for your team. So, but I think all of that included. So cohesiveness is great. We have a lot of great talent, but we also have great quality people and have good coaching. So there's, it's just a good group that's come together. So
it seems like, the little things are paying off for y'all because obviously if you don't win those Team Breakers, you're not in first place. You're probably in the middle of the pack, and those things, again, win by 1 up to 11, that can happen fast, especially when you're pulling people in and out constantly. So to watch those, it's a really cool thing to see because, you can't really warm up much because you're watching and you got to know the situation and the context. So you're just kind of thrown out there to the lions and, just kind of trust that what you've done is the right stuff so far and it's going to pay off in those couple points. So
you're exactly right. And it's also hard because you're wanting to help watch and support your teammates when they're playing.
Right.
And if there's any, like coaching tips that I can figure out to help anybody, but then you're like, oh wait, but I play next. I got to go warm up. So it's full packed weekend. I'm exhausted when I come home from every one of those weekends, but we're from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. So love it. I think it's great.
New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL, great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle. It's the future.
Are you looking to stay up to date on the latest pickleball news and tips? Look no further than the Sleeve Senior Pickleball Report newsletter. Get the scoop on the sport, learn how to stay healthy while playing, and find out about upcoming tournaments. Subscribe now to get all the pickleball info you need.
It's been fabulous. Just even if you're not there, and I've been to one and I'll be to the second one for the championship, but going to that venue, Chicken and Pickle, where you have the courts tightly packed in and you're surrounded at times, especially in these Team Breakers, it's like a little stadium and they're right on you. And I can't even imagine what it's like to be on the court at that point and everybody's around. And, if all the other teams are done, they're around. Talk about the venues and, what it's like to play in an environment like that.
Yeah, that's been really fun. And the biggest blessing with this heat this summer is that they're indoors and they're air conditioned.
You're telling me, no kidding.
Chicken and Pickle is awesome. That's where I run a lot of my camps in San Antonio at the Chicken and Pickle. And
right on.
Food is outstanding. Their drinks are outstanding. And it's so nice to be in that arena where you're indoors. And it's everybody there on our weekends is about NPL, right? Because we take up the whole venue. So it's super fun, super supportive. And I think NPL is just really grateful to have Chicken and Pickle working with them and to provide such a great place for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, when you walk into a venue, they're not all identical, but they're somewhat similar. So you're coming into a place that you know what to expect. And I would imagine from setting up as far as logistics go, if you're going to film things and you have announcers and all that kind of stuff, you sort of know what you're getting into. And I don't envy these other tours that go to all these different venues that have to deal with weather and the way the venue's set up. And some of the courts are closer to each other and some of them are not. It's very, I guess, probably it's a relief that knowing what you're walking into on some level. It's a comfort level too, I would imagine.
I agree. Totally. We know exactly what we're getting. We know what to expect. We know the food's going to be awesome. We know Julie Weston is going to put together a great party on the Friday night before we play, and it's going to be organized, and we're going to have a great time.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you had a great 80s party, it looked like.
Yeah, we did. I'm glad it on.
And that's our generation. That's our era. Y'all killed it.
Right. It was super fun. Yeah, we had a good time.
Right on. So let's talk about what's coming up. Obviously, you're coming up the second half of the season. Little bit of pressure on obviously y'all because you're being chased down. But talk about how you're going to handle being a front runner as an individual.
Well, the race is tight, right? Because there's two teams that are really close to us. And we were tied last week. So it might do a little bit of that throughout the weekend, but we are 50 plus. So it seems like we're having to deal with people that maybe have an injury or need to leave. So we haven't had our full roster, I think, except one weekend. So we're still going to be missing a few people from our roster.
Yeah.
So, but our team, I'm so proud of them. I mean, everybody's done a great job of still working together and bringing in whoever's playing with us. They always fit well and do a great job. And we've just, I think for us, just to keep doing what we're doing. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep expecting to win, keep playing our best. Everybody keeps supporting each other. And that goes a long way, because if there's other issues going on, that can take your focus. And like you said, everything goes pretty fast. Yeah. Right. So we all have to be ready to go as soon as our game is up and just do your job. And your job is to play our best, but to bring in a point for our team. So
yeah, it's kind of that next person up mentality. Like, somebody's not here, you have to step into that space and do what you can. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right on.
So might be playing with different people this weekend even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just the nature of the beast. Obviously people have conflicts of schedule. Sometimes people are injured. You don't always have the people that you would be, quote unquote, be your best, but that's what, being a part of a team is. So
exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk, obviously, you got a few events left, but let's talk kind of future here. It's obviously they've knocked it out of the park. NPL first season. I mean, expectations were probably high, but I don't know if anybody saw what was coming as far as how it's looked the first, 3 or 4 events here. It's been amazing. What are your hopes for where this league goes over the next few years?
I hope I am right back playing with Austin Ignite again next season. And I know they're working on our calendar to get that going. I think there will be a few changes, but I don't see any reason why it won't continue and we'll have season 2. It's been a big hit. Everybody's having a great time. And there's actually a lot of good players out there that are over 50. So it's been on display and given a lot of new people even a chance that maybe just turned 50 or that weren't really known on the tour yet. So I fully expect it to be back again next season. There's a lot of details that we don't know yet, and we're waiting in anticipation.
Yeah, I mean, you have an endless farm system of people coming up, either if they're playing pro at the open level right now, or people getting into the game as the sport obviously just keeps growing by gangbusters. So it seems to me that the feeding is just going to keep coming to NPL because it's endless, and you'll get some names that, people know from their earlier careers as far as playing and even being open pro. So that's another benefit. You get some sort of automatic star power coming in every once in a while too, like Lee Whitwell will be there eventually, hopefully, and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. I mean, every year there's going to be new blood, new turnover.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Yeah. Right on. So, let's talk about you personally and what you're got coming up as far as coaching clinics and what you want to do for the rest of the year concerning those things.
Yeah, my coaching business is just it's going great, growing like crazy. I've been very blessed. I'm very grateful to have that opportunity. I have some other coaches that work with me because I do travel a lot. So that's nice that they can help take over some of that load when I'm gone. It has been, because pickleball is growing so much and there's such a demand, that I've had to really learn how to balance my schedule between training myself and working with clients. People don't realize that don't coach how, when you're on the court a lot, it really takes a toll on your body. You know, you forget that, oh, well, they're just out there coaching. Well, you're still on the court feeding a lot of balls. And so I'm still trying to balance that, where I want my training to be a priority and to be able to be the best I can be for my team. But I also love coaching and working with other players and teaching them the sport. And so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, keep growing, keep looking for venues. That's my biggest issue here, is the Austin area just doesn't have a lot of venues and a lot of pickleball courts. So there's no way that it can't go any direction but up. But that's what we're lacking in Austin, is not the players, it's the facilities to be.
Well, that's, I think, the surprise is, you know, a lot of top elite players live in Austin and around Austin, but like everywhere else, it seems like the infrastructure obviously hasn't caught up to the immense growth over the last few years. And, you know, that you see things like these empty malls starting to get filled with pickleball courts and all those types of things coming along. And I know people just said, oh, you know, well, you know, so-and-so lives there, they must have a lot of courts. No, you're just competing for courts like everybody else.
Exactly. I mean, my good friend Steve Kuhn lives in Austin, Texas. So I know we're going to get more courts eventually, because he's just done such a great job of growing the sport of pickleball.
Yeah.
It's hard to, and the price tag is hard in Austin, Texas. So I think all of that continued. And then there are, if you don't mind me sharing, about a couple of
no, go ahead,
that are on the horizon. I just met with a new company that's Austin-based women, and the company is called Souk, and it stands for Stay Out of the Kitchen. And so they are developing a clothesline that is going to tailor-made for 40+ women. That's going to be sunscreen protection and very classy clothes. And they're going to be getting into a lot of different country club settings, but pickleball is kind of their first and main target.
Right on.
So I'm super excited to work with them. I'll have more on that coming very soon. And then I've been with Head Pickleball for a while now, and they have been a great company to work with, but I am making a change, and I'm going to be representing Carbon. So I'm super excited to be playing with the 2X. I actually did it at our last tournament, but it's official now. So
congratulations.
Yeah, great company, great people. The thing that actually attracted me to them first was their team page, to see who plays on their team. Thomas Wilson, Vivian David, Scott Fliegelman, just great quality humans, as well as amazing pickleball players. So I'm super excited to be joining that team and be able to represent Carbon.
Right on. That is super exciting. Yeah, it is. It's good to see quality people and be, you know, really good athletes as well. And I think that's sort of what attracted me to NPL, is just like, you know, anybody I've ever spoken to or met in person, even if I haven't interviewed them, they've just been super sweet and kind and giving of their time.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Pickleball people are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I tell that to everybody, you know, really, I think that's another reason why it's just grown so much, because you can make friends so easy, so quickly. Everybody's pretty nice. Yeah, we've got our cliques going on with who you want to play with sometimes, but still, it's a very welcoming crowd, and pickleball players are generally awesome humans.
Right on. So before we go, two things. You're a coach, obviously you're a professional. Give a little advice to somebody who may want to move up a level. Let's say they're a 3.0, they want to move to a 3.5. What are some things people can work on that are trying to move up in the game, and probably something that's fundamentally important?
So that word right there is my first. I just was advertising. I do a fundamental mini camp, and people have got to have good fundamentals, because I see a lot of people that come in that never got any help and just picked up the game because it is easy to pick up. But if you want to get to the higher level where you're playing well, you need to have a solid fundamental foundation that you can practice the right way. And the other thing I'm always sharing with clients is it's not about just going out and playing. If you really want your game, if you want to elevate your game and you're serious about getting better, you have to drill like any other sport. It requires practice. You have to put time on the court with another partner or a ball machine that you can drill and work on your stuff. And let the rec games, win or losses, go and start committing to being more intentional on your play, that you're going to focus on things that you need to work on rather than worry about the score when it's a rec game. And so that's usually the advice that I give to most of my clients. Like, hey, let the win or loss go, but practice your stuff.
Right on. And that's great advice. I'm trying to do all three of those things that you mentioned. So thank you for that. Before you go, how about a couple people that have supported you along your journey here and helped you along the way?
Yeah, so shout out to my family. They've got to be number one. My husband doesn't play pickleball. He's actually a college basketball referee. So he saves knees for running that court.
Yeah.
Pickleball, but he supports me with helping me drill and helping, pick up balls or feed or whatever I need. And then I travel a lot. So my boys are both in college now, and I'm an empty nester. So again, good timing.
Yeah.
That was my primary job. And now they're doing great and out on their own for the most part. So my family's big supporter. My parents were always at every game that I ever played. So my mom still loves to watch on the YouTube. She's so glad that everything's videoed and she gets to watch. But family, friends, I have too many to mention that are that have helped me along the way. But number one would have to be family. Shout out.
Hope you enjoyed our conversation with Amy. Again, check out thrivepb.com for their upcoming release. And hey, subscribe to that newsletter if you can. And don't forget, let's pickle.
Hey, if you're looking for very, very comfortable court shoes, in fact, the most comfortable court shoes I've ever worn, and I've worn a lot of them over the years playing different sports, try Fitville. We have a link in the description that gets you $20 off your purchase.